Chapter number 5, input and output functions and flow control. Okay, input and output functions means what? If I'll say x is equal to 50, and if I run the program, what will happen?
Is the output.
Sorry?
50 is the output.
Oh, really? But I'm not getting any output. Yes or no? Yes, if I need output, I will say print and then I will say x. Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Let me run the program. I got 50. Yes. Why I got the 50? Because I use which statement? I use the print statement. Yes or no? Always remember, in any programming language, whenever we are saying that we have to print something, correct? So we will use the print function. That this itself, print is nothing but one function. Yes, let me put it over here. Sounds good. Correct. So the print function prints the specified message to the screen or the standard output device. So we can say that if I, whenever I'm talking about the output, means I'm using the print statement over here. The message can be string or any other object. The object will be converted into a string before return to the screen. That means before writing it, it will, or you can print anything, whatever you want to print, correct? So these are the parameters value which you can define with the print. You can define the objects, you can define the separator, you can define the end file flush, whatever you want to define, you can define. Now, input function means what? We are talking about the output. So whenever you use the print function, you will get the output. What about the input? What do you think what this input function will do? You can see whenever you will say input and prompt means you are saying that you can see here, print, enter your name x and print hello, correct? So whenever I will run this command, what will happen? Yes, whenever I will say that I want to run this particular input, or I need input. So I need input means what? Means you are asking the user to put something over here. Yes or no? Agree or not? If you will not ask any user to enter something, what he will enter? He will enter nothing. But whenever you will say that I want user to put something, right? Correct. So actually you are not putting anything. You are asking user to put something over here. For an example, if I will go here, many times you have seen in the programming language as well, right? Whenever I will say print, see, I'm saying print over here, correct? After printing, what I will say, I will say, okay, enter your city name. I'm saying to user that can you please enter your username. Now here, if I want to allow user to put something or to enter something, I will use the input. You can see inbuilt function. This is the built-in function in Python through which you are allowing any user to put something, correct? So here if I will say enter your city name, and I will say okay, good city. Yes, and I will say okay, what I have to print over here, or what I will use here, I will say plus x, and let me say run the program. Enter your city name. My city name is nothing but the Halifax, and enter. So why I'm getting the error? Yes, you know which kind of error I'm getting? I'm getting the type error. Type error means what? What do you mean by type error? Okay, let me make it capital and let me run it again. Okay, my city name is nothing but the Halifax, and enter. Again, I'm getting the type error. Why? What do you mean by this type error? See, whenever I will go here and I will say, can you run the program now? My city is nothing but the Halifax, and enter. Still I'm getting the type error. Why? You can see on the line number 3 here, you have to focus here. Whenever we are saying that I want to print something, so if you want to print something, first thing you have to check that whatever the syntax I'm using over here, that is the correct syntax or not. See here, if I will go and if I'll say let me put the comma over here and let me say run it and let me say Halifax, you can see I'm getting the output that good city Halifax. You can see where I put the comma, I put the comma inside the double quotation mark. Yes or no? If I remove it here and if I'll put it over here, it will give me the error. Which kind of error? I'm getting the type error, bed operand type for unary plus string. So here it is saying that you cannot use that, separated by comma. You cannot use the comma outside the double quotation mark. So this is important. Whatever we have discussed so far, that is the basic. Now let me go in detail about the Python. Whenever we are saying if else means what? If else means, if I will say, okay, Sujit equal to IBM. If I will say if Sujit is equal to IBM, if it is not true, then I will say else Sujit is equal to Cisco. So you can see here, actually these are the conditional statement, if or else or if else. So whenever we are talking about the Python conditions and if statement, means Python supports the usual logical conditions from the mathematics: equal to, not equal to, less than, greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, right? So these conditions can be used in many ways, most commonly in if statement and loops. Today we will discuss about the loops also. We will discuss about the for loop, while loop, and everything. Correct. So whenever we people are saying that I want to check the condition, so here you can see a is equal to 33, b is equal to 200. If b is greater than a, print b is greater than a. If I will say no, this condition is not true. For an example, let me go here and let me say, correct. So whatever we have seen, it says that if the condition is true, but what if the condition is not true? If condition is not true, what it will print? If I'll go here and if I say a is equal to 50 and b is equal to 100, here I will use the if condition. You can see whenever I will say if, I'm getting the hint over here. I will say, okay, if, what if b is less than, I'm using the reverse condition over here. If b is less than a, then what you will do? Then you will say, I want to print. Whenever you are printing, make sure that you have to use the proper syntax. Then I will say, if b is less than a, then I will print that b is less than a. And let me run this program. I'm not getting any output. Why? Can anyone say why? Okay. Instead of this, if I'll say, let me
B is greater than.
let me say b is greater than a. Let me run the program again. I'm getting the output b is greater than a. Condition is true, right? Yes. In this example, we use total two variable a and b, and these both variable are used as a part of the if statement to test the condition. Which condition I'm testing? I'm testing the greater than condition. Here I'm saying that if is nothing but my conditional statement. If b is greater than a, that means we have a a's value is nothing but the 50, b value is nothing but the 100. Correct. If b is greater than a, we know that b is obviously greater than a, 100 is greater than 50, yes or no? In that case, it will, in that case only, listen to my word, in that case only it will print. It will print means you will get the output. If this condition is true, we know that this condition is true, right? But if I will say less than, then it will not give you the output. That means it will not print the output. Here, if I will go and if I will say, see, I'm just closing it. I will go here and if I will say run this program, you can see here it is giving me the message, right? Do you think I can run this program and if I'll get, do you think we will get the output?
No.
No. Why? Because
Because
it will give me error. Which kind of error? Indentation error. That means you can see whenever you will do the coding, either you are doing the coding in JSON or YAML or XML or any of the template or programming language. See, I'm not doing anything. I'm just simply putting the enter. When I'll put the enter, it will automatically put the print statement after the if statement. Correct. So any programming, any programming language will rely on the indentation. Correct. It will also count the white space as well. So whenever you are printing something, you have to make sure that it is in the correct order. Now this time we use which statement? This time we use the if statement. Now if I want to add some content over here, if I will say, okay, B is greater than A, sounds good. Now, if I want to say else if, here, if I will say, I want to also use the else if statement. Else if keyword means what? Means here I'm saying that if B is greater than A, print B is greater than A, else, or else if A is equal to B, then you have to print something. Then what you will print? Then you will say print, and you will say both are equal. Let me say both are equal. Let me run the program. Okay, here how many conditions it is matching? Yes, how many conditions here it is matching? Here it is matching the two conditions. First condition is A is equal to 50, B is equal to 100. If B is greater than A, then print this one. If this condition is not matching, then you have to go over here. Then you will say else if A is equal to B. Okay, now the question is, do you think this statement will be execute when I will run the program?
Okay.
Simply yes or no. My question is, when I will debug this program, do you think this statement will be executed? This statement, which statement? Else if statement. Yes, I'm saying else if statement. Let me show you here. Control V. Now let me say debug. Now focus over here on the right hand side. Whenever I will say, you can see currently my debug is on line number 1. Yes, you can see the green things which are highlighted here. A is equal to 50. Step over. Now A is equal to 50. Now my debug is on line number B. Step over. Now it is matching the condition if B is greater than A or not. Step over. Now it is on the print statement. Then I will say done. Now if you can see here, I'm getting the message. Can you see? Whenever you will get the message return, that means your execution is completed. Here I got the message that B is greater than A. When I will say step over, you can see step over, step over, step over. So my program is completed. Now I cannot debug this program anymore. Why? Because it debug line number 1, it debug line number 2, it debug line number 3, it debug line number 4. When it debug the line number 4, it will not execute this statement. Now let's talk in terms of networking. If you know the access control list, yes or no? Yes. If you know the access control list, whenever we are saying that access control list 1, I will say permit 1.1.1.1. Then I will say access control list 1 deny 1.1.1.1. Do you think it will execute this statement? No. Why? Because you already said I want to permit this particular IP. Yes. That means similar. You can apply the same concept over here. This is condition is matching. If this condition will match, then it will not execute this condition. Whenever you will do the network automation and whenever you will configure the access control list, always you will use the if else statement. This is nothing but what? This is nothing but the if else statement. So here, which statement we have used? We have used the if and else if. If I will say, let me go here. And again, if I will say, now I want to use the else. What you will say in else? In else, you are saying that now print. What you will print now? Check the two conditions which you define above. Correct? B is greater than A, or both are equal, or I will say A is greater than B. Let me run the program. I'm getting the output that B is greater than A. Now, when again I will do the debug, you can see line number 2, line number 3, line number 4. Now done. You can see after line number 4, I'm getting the return statement. That means this statement will not be executed and this statement will not be executed. Here I define the 3 conditions. Correct? Here I define the 3 conditions. Here in my case, for an example, if I will reverse the value, I will say stop it and let me reverse the value. I will say 200 and 100 and let me run the program. Can you see now which output I am getting? Which line number output I am getting? Last line. Can you see? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes. A
Yes.
is greater than B.
When I said 500 and 100, I'm running, I'm getting the output C. Right now, oh, if I'll go here and if I say 20, and if I run the program, I'm getting the output of this line. But when I'm saying 200, I'm running the program, I'm getting the output of last line. Why? Because matching the conditions. Correct. So here in this example, my A is greater than B. So the first condition is not true. Also, the else if condition is not true. So it will go into the else condition and print the output that A is greater than B. This is important. If you want to, whenever you will say that, okay, I want to check the condition number 1, I want to check the condition number 2, I want to check the condition number 3, you can check the multiple conditions. Or if you want to check the condition in one line, you can also check the condition in one line. Correct. So here you can see, let me say Control Z and close it and close it. Here, let me put one more variable. If I'll say, okay, C is nothing but the 700, done. And I will say if, now you can see I'm using the if statement. If I'll say if A is greater than B, and I'm using the AND keyword, and if C is greater than A, then what you will do? Then you will print something. What you will print? You will say that both conditions are true. Correct. True is keyword. Let me run this program. Both conditions are true. Now check the conditions. A is greater than B, 200 is greater than 100, yes. C is greater than A. Now compare the C and A. 700 is greater than 200, yes. Now which keyword I used if I want to match the two condition? Correct. The important thing is which keyword I used. AND keyword. Correct. So AND is which kind of operator yesterday we have discussed. AND is used to combine two conditional statement. Now, which two conditional statement I have? Two conditional statement. This is my one conditional statement and this is my another conditional statement. Yes. So whenever I'm saying that I want to combine A and first conditional statement and second conditional statement. Correct. So whenever you are saying test if A is greater than B and if C is greater than A, if it is true, then you can print the output. Now here in the same case, if I'll go here and instead of A, I will use another logical operator. And if I'll say run the program, both conditions are true. You can see here I'm using which logical operator. Here I'm using the OR logical operator. And here I am checking the two conditions, condition number 1 and condition number 2. Now here I use only one if condition. It may be possible that sometimes you have to put one more if statement. Yes or no? So I have only one if statement. Let's say I have something like A is equal to 10. Yes. If I'll say is equal to 10, I have one variable A, value is 10. If I'll say if, now I want to use the if condition. If A is greater than, for an example, if A is greater than 5, then what you have to do? Then you have to print something. What you will print? You will say that I want to print. Now, whenever you are saying I want to print something, then what you will print? I will say, okay, in that case, I have to print above 5. This is my first if condition. This is my first if condition. Now I want to put another if condition. If you can see, this is my main if statement. Under main if statement, I am putting one more if statement. If X is greater than 3 for an example. Then what you will do? Then you have to print one more thing. What you will print? You will say that above is 10, or you can say 10, whatever you want to write, you can write. Then I will say, you can see this is my first if statement, this is my second if statement. If first statement is not true, second statement is not true, then you will, what you will do, then you will go with the else. And what you will print in the else, I will say print, and I will say above is not 10. First thing, look at the syntax which I have written over here. Whenever I'm saying look at the syntax, means what? Means here I'm saying that you have to check that programmatically it is correct or not. Now it sounds good. Why? Because here my variable is nothing but the a and value is 10. 10 is nothing but the integer, so no issue. I cannot, no need to put into the double quotation. Sounds good. Now go to the first if condition. If a is greater than 5, if a is greater than 5. So if you are saying if a is greater than 5, so here I already said that a is equal to 10, yes or no? So do you think this statement is true or not? What do you think? What it will print when I will run this program? What do you think? Which kind of output I will get?
Both above is 10.
Okay, let me run the program. When I'm running the program, I'm getting the output above 5. Sounds good. Above 10. Sounds good. Above is not 10 is not good. So here you don't want to focus on the output. Here what you have to focus, you have to focus over here if statement and if statement. So whenever you are doing the programming, and if you are saying if and if and if, this is nothing but the nested if statement. In programming we called it nested. In general we called it tree. Inside the tree you can create the, or you can say master, and you can say member. Correct? So whenever you are defining the two if statement, means I am talking about the nested if statement. Let me show you. Indentation error, you have to follow the indentation. Else if we have seen, right? Then else statement we have seen, correct? You can put the multiple options. Now short, and if you want to make it short, you can just say if is, then you can directly print in single line. That means you can make it short if you want to make it short in one line, right? And I told you, if I want to print that if a is greater than b and c is greater than a, then both conditions true. If true, it will give you the output. Not, then it will not give you the output. Or instead of or, you can also use the, instead of and, you can also use the or statement. Now nested if means what? You can see, you can have if statements inside if statement. You can have if statement inside if statement. Yes. So this is my if statement. This if statement is inside this main if statement. We called it nested if statement. Correct? So whenever you are seeing any website, let me show you my website. Today only I play with my website. Correct? Just before five minutes, before starting our session, I purchased the SSL certificate. Why? Because it was expired. Right? So here you can see. Thank you for your order. Yes. And product notice, the SSL for EasyNetwork has been issued. When I will go here, when I will click here, it will show me the connection is secure, verified by GoDaddy.com. So here what I am saying, yes, here I will go, and if I will say inspect the queue, when I will say inspect the queue, it will inspect the queue. And whenever I will say I want to inspect the page source, when I will click on inspect the page source, you can see here this coding is in the HTML format. correct? This coding is in which format? It is in the HTML format. So syntax of HTML and Python is totally different, correct? If any website which is in the Python programming language or any C or C++ or Java or XYZ, whatever, correct? You will get the statement. You can see this is also nothing but one kind of good programming. Here you can see, correct? You can see I have started the bracket here. The same bracket is ended over here, and this bracket is ended for some other bracket. This bracket is ended for some other bracket. This bracket is ended for some other bracket. That means whenever you will do the any programming, if I'm starting two, if I'm using the two brackets, then I have to close my both brackets at the same time. This brackets, that means my coding I have started here, and I'm ending my coding over here, correct? So here you can use the multiple if statement, if and if. Now this if is closed here and this if is closed here. It is not difficult, it is not really difficult, correct? But it just needs some practice. You can see here also it is showing me the array. Yes, array is nothing but the list matrix, we called it in mathematics, we called it metric. Now let me say the pass statement. Now this is important. What do you mean by pass statement? Whenever in general, if I will say pass statements means what it will do? Do you think it will pass the value? Yes. Pass means what? You can see A is equal to 33, B is equal to 200 if B is greater than A. Condition is true. Yes or no? Yes or no? 200 is greater than 33. Yes, then pass. That means whenever I will go here and I will say that I want to print or I want to use the pass statement, if I'll say A is equal to 10 and B is equal to 5, correct? And here if I'll say now I want to use the if condition, correct? If I'll go and if I'll say if B is less than A, then what you have to do? Then you have to pass. What do you think? Which kind of output it will show me? First thing,
True,
sorry,
true.
true आएगा. Anyone else? Correct. This is the importance of pass statement. First of all, check A is 10. Okay. B is 5. So 5 is less than 10. Condition is true or false? True. Yes or no?
True.
Let me run the program. Are you able to see any output here? My program is executed. You can see. Are you able to see any? First thing, we have not used any print statement. Correct. If I will go here and if I say, let me put it into the reverse condition. You can see if B is greater than A, then pass. Or if I will say if B is less than A, then pass. So what do you mean by pass statement? Pass statement means it will say that I want to pass. Having an empty if statement like this would raise an error without the pass statement, correct? So whenever you will say that, okay, this condition is true or this condition is false, you have to pass this. Put the pass statement to avoid getting an error. If you can see this statement is very, very important. If you don't want error, the best thing to avoid the error in any programming language is to pass the statement. You can see when I said, you can see this is B is less than 5, condition is true, agree or not, I'm not getting any output. Okay, if I will say B is greater than A, condition is false, yes or no, because 5 is not greater than 10. Yes, agree or not? 5 is greater than 10. Do you think this is correct statement? No, 5 10 से बड़ा तो नहीं है ना? Yes or no? So it has to raise the error, but it is not giving me any error. Why? Because you said that just pass the just passed it. Just we are saying that many times we are saying I want to pass something. That means whenever you will use the past statement, it will not use or it will not create any error for you. Correct? Now while we have seen if, we have seen else if, we have seen nested if statement. Then what do you mean by while? While means what? In general, where we are using there are two loops. One is nothing but the while loop, one is nothing but the for loop. Yes. So when, in which kind of scenario we are using the while loop, we are saying loop, right? Same like your STP loop. If I'll say I is equal to 10, I'm just taking one variable I, 10. Now I will say while. While, here you can see I'm saying while I is less than. Now here previously I defined I is equal to 10. So I will say 20. Then what you have to do? Then you have to print the I. Then I will say I. Now this is important. I am saying plus is equal to 10. When I will run this program, which kind of output I will get? Anyone?
10.
Think again and tell me. This is the actual logic of any programming language. This is the actual logic of any programming language.
30,
Sorry.
30.
Okay, anyone can tell me which kind of output I will get. Okay, let me give you the hint if you need a hint. Your hint is this one. Okay, let me run the program.
20.
What I'm getting? Now I am getting 10. If I will go here and if I'll say instead of 10, I will say 1 and let me run the program. Which kind of output I'm getting? Hello, are you there? Yes. Now, can anyone tell me why I got 10 to 19 first thing, not 10 to 11 up to 20? Why I am not getting 20 first thing and why I'm getting 10 to 19?
Because our condition is I is less than 20. There it will print.
Okay, now let me go here. Let me put my program here. And now let me show you the debug. You can see run. I got the same output, right? You can see here. Sounds good. Now let me say debug. Listen to me carefully. And I will say I is equal to 10. Let me say step over. I is equal to 10. Now it is checking while I less than 20, print I. So it print the I and I plus 4 is equal to 1. That means it will do the increment by 1. Yes or no? 10 plus 1. Are you getting me what I'm saying? Yes, it will say 10 plus 1. Whatever the value of I is 10 plus is equal to 1. That means you have to do the increment by 1. Then I will go up. Now again it is executing the while I is less than or equal to 20. Print the I, increment by 1. Go to while. It will run, continue, or it will continue run till this condition is not satisfied. Yes or no? Until you will not get I less than 20, it will run the again and again. You can see it is running. My while loop is executing again and again, again and again. You can see the value of I, I here 17, right? Now you can see the 18. Now you can see the 19. Yes or no? You can see the 19 when I will say step over. Now 19 is done and my program is written over here. Why? Because whenever we people are talking about the while loop means what? While loop means with the while loop we can execute a set of statement as long as the condition is true. Until and unless your condition will not true, it will run the statement. So once I will get here in this example, once I will get the 5, it will stop matching this particular while loop. Why? Because 5 is less than 6. If I say 6 is not less than 6, remember to increment I, or else the loop will continue forever. The while loop requires the relevant variable to be ready. In this example, we need to define indexing variable I, which can be, you can say, okay, I want to do the increment by 1, or I want to do the increment by 2 or 3 or whatever. Now the break statement. What do you mean by break statement? Break statement means what? It will break the statement. With the break statement, we can stop the loop even if the condition is, even if the while condition is true. So let me give you the example here. Here you can see I is equal to 1, while I less than 6, print I. If I is equal to 3, then break. You can see here I'm saying I is equal to 3, it will say break the statement. That means it will not exist. Why? Because you put the if condition, right? You are matching the condition that when my I is equal to 3, you don't want to increment the value. So break will break the statement. It will stop the execution of your program. If I will say continue, you can see if instead of break, if I use the continue, with the continue statement, we can stop the current iteration and continue with the next iteration. Here you can see I am getting the 6, yes. Correct. Even this condition says that I less than 6, I plus is equal to 1. If I is equal to 3, continue, print the I. Because you can see here, I said that I plus is equal to 1, and here I said that I plus is equal to after my break statement, but here I use the same state. I put my I plus 1 is equal to upper side. That means if you want to go with the next continue statement, you can use the continue. Else statement. With the else statement, we can run the block of code we have seen once we condition is no longer true. So if condition is not true, it will say okay, just stop it. Now one is while loop and one is for loop. What do you mean by for loop? Yes, whenever we are saying for loop, there are only two types loop in the Python. One is nothing but the while loop, one is nothing but the for loop. So here I mentioned that a for loop is used to iterating over a sequence. It can be either a list, or it can be a tuple, or it can be a dictionary, or a set, or a string. This is like the for keyword in other programming language and works more like an iterator method as found in other object oriented. That means it is same like other programming language as well. If I will go here and let me say, now this time I don't want to use the while loop. Instead of while loop, I want to use the for loop. For loop means what? For loop means if I'll say name is equal to, you can use the dictionary, you can use the tuple, you can use the list, you can use the array, whatever you want to use, you can use. I will say Sujit, one name, then I will say Imran, another name, then I will say Anand, third name, and I will say done. Now I will say for. You can see for is inbuilt keyword. I will say for. Now what for? Whatever you want to print, I will say for X in name. Whenever you will say name, it will automatically come. You can see because you defined it previously. For X in name, then you have to print X. So whenever I will say print X, now so you can see when I will run this program, I'm getting Sujit, Imran, and Anand. Now how actually it works? When I will go into the debug, you can see my debug is on line number 1. When I will say step over, now here you can see I'm getting everything right. Yes, Sujit, Imran, and Anand. Now when I will say step over, it will print what? It will print Sujit. Now this debug is very, very important. Sujit, done. Next, go to the for loop. Check this element for X in the name. Take next element from the list, step over. Now this time it will print the Imran. Again, I will say step over. Again, it will go into the for loop. It will check that still name is there. Yes, Anand is there. So I will say step over. You can see now the value of x is nothing but the Anand. So previously value of x is nothing but the Sujit, next time Imran, next time Anand. For loop means what? For loop means it will run again and again until and unless your elements will not be over inside the variable, whatever you define over here, correct? So the for loop does not require an indexing variable to set the before end, correct? And if you want to use the for loop with the string, you can use with the string. If you want to use the break statement, same, you can use the break statement, continue statement. These whole things are same like your while loop. If you want to use the range function, you can use the range function. If I say for x in the range 6, print x, so it will print up to 0 to 5. Why it will print 0 to 5? Because always the value will start from 0, so that's why it is not printing the 5, correct? Note that the range 6 is not the value of 0 to 6, but the value is 0 to 5. If I will consider the 0, it will print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So total there are 6 number. Now if you want to use the else in the for loop, you can use, there are so many possibilities. You can use the else and nested loops and if loops and while loops, correct? It just need one practice, that's it. If you want to pass, you can pass as well. Now let me quickly go through the quiz. Whatever we have discussed today, the same thing I've mentioned over here. You to think and you to answer. I have only 5 questions, 4 to 5 questions, and I need all answers are correct. Now look at the question number 1. Which of the following loops should be used while working with the sequence? Think and answer. Which of the following loops should be used while working with the sequence? Before 2 minutes we have discussed. What do you think? Okay, let me give you the hint. Option C is not correct. Excellent. 4. Which of the following loops should be used while working with the sequence? So whenever you are matching the elements in the sequence, as I told you just before 1 minute we are using the for loop. Now question number 2. Which of the following should be used to skip the current iteration of the loop? Think and answer. Which of the following should be used to skip the current iteration of a loop? Satish. Good. Very good. Correct. The networking person is giving the answer. That means excellent. Correct. Because we have seen in the theory part that if you want to skip the current iteration, if you want to move on to the next iteration, you will use the continue statement. Now, let me go here and let me show you this one. If the asset expression evaluates to false, then an asset error is raised. Yes or no? Asset is nothing but just something general statement. Okay, if anything is false, and if you are not using pass statement, it will generate an error. Agree or not?
Yes.
Yes. If I will executing any statement, and if I'm not, and if that statement is false, that means not true. And if I'm not using the pass, it will give me an error. Okay, let me see. True. Obviously, it is true. When I will say question number 4. Now I need a perfect answer from everyone. Read it carefully. In a if else ladder, the else block code will be executed always, even when if one or if or one of the else block gets executed. So here what it says, here it says that in a if else, that means this is my if and this is my else. In a if else ladder, the else block code will be executed always, even when if or one of the else if block get executed.
False.
Excellent. False. Correct. If If this condition is not true, then it will match the next condition. If this is not true, then it will go with the else if condition. Correct? So first it will check this one. Okay, not matching, go to the next. Not matching, go out. If matching, then don't run this one. If this is matching, then don't go with this one. Correct? So when I have attended the interview with Amazon in UK, that people are asking me this kind of question. So whenever you are able to see this kind of question, means what? Means actually they are checking your logic. Because see, to be frank, no one is, like we are see that there are thousands of coder are there, right? The people who are making the websites and applications and so many things they are doing, right? Out of all, there are only 3 to 4% people, those who are actually designing the code. Remaining people are just doing the copy and paste. But if you are doing the copy and paste, you have to make sure that where to copy, from where to copy, and where I have to paste. If you don't know which part I have to copy and which part I have to paste, then you will, if you don't know how to do the copy and paste, then it's difficult to become the developer. Yes, when I will say, okay, I want to create one script that how to configure the OSPF routing protocol. So once you have created the script for 3 area, for an example, then if you will get one architecture in which there are 7 areas. So now you have OSPF code for the 3 areas. Now in this architecture, they are talking about the 6 areas or 7 areas. Then what you will do, you will copy the same code. You will copy the same code and you will do some modification. You people are learning the Python. Why? Because the most of, right?